afternoon, everyone. We're going to provide an update on the effects of last night's storms across Allegheny County. You'll soon hear from Allegheny County's Department of Emergency Services Chief Matt Brown, as well as the Allegheny County Department of Public Works Director Steve Shanley. I also want to thank Council President Katina and Councilwoman Nicorati-Chapkas for joining us here today. We also have a representative from Duquesne Light who will provide an update. I also want to acknowledge that I was on the phone with the governor just before this press conference, and we are grateful to have his support and all of the resources available at the state be directed to Allegheny County as needed. So far we know that 2 individuals have lost their lives. One through electrocution in the city of Pittsburgh last night, and one due to a fallen tree in Ross Township. I want to offer my condolences to those families during this very difficult time. And with that, I want to stress the importance of safety right now. If you go outside, the sun is shining, but that can be deceptive. There are still downed trees and live wires across the county. And obviously, these are incredibly dangerous situations that should be left to professionals. Please do not try to move a wire or clear a roadway by yourself. Please leave that to the professionals. There is rain in the forecast in the coming days, and trees and branches that are currently unstable may fall. If you're out and about, please proceed with extreme caution. I also want to pass on some tips from the health department on food safety after an extended power loss. After the loss of power, refrigerated or frozen foods may not be safe to eat. Keep refrigerators and freezer doors closed at all times. A full freezer may keep food safe for 48 hours. A half-full freezer should keep it safe for 24 hours. Your refrigerator will keep food safe for up to 4 hours without power. After 4 hours without power, throw out refrigerated foods like meat, fish, eggs, milk, and leftovers. Throw away food that is an unusual color, odor, or texture. When in doubt, throw it out. And please check on your neighbors, especially your elderly neighbors and neighbors who are health compromised. Right now, it's a good time to be a good neighbor. And we still have several facilities, county-run facilities, that are running on generators, but everything is open. The jail and our downtown facilities never lost power. All of our parks are now open, though there are several downed trees and closed roads, so I really want to stress that if you are visiting a county park this week, please proceed with caution and follow the signage that is posted. Director Shanley will discuss closed county-owned roads, including roads and parks, here just in a few minutes. And finally, and most importantly, I want to thank all of our county workers, especially our 911 call operators and our police, our Department of Public Works road crews who are out all night long, and everyone who's been working around the clock to keep us safe and to keep us moving here in Allegheny County. You are so appreciated. And with that, I'd like to bring up Allegheny County Department of Emergency Services Chief Brown.
Thank you, Executive Member Morano. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Allegheny County Department of Emergency Services. This is our Emergency Operations Center. If you've not been here before, our EMA, Emergency Management Division, began preparing for the impending weather days before yesterday. But no one knew for sure the intensity and the impact that we did see. Many times in the past, many of us have maybe just had the thought that we've just been lucky weather-wise, and that is true many times in the past. But from an emergency management standpoint, luck is not a plan. We were planning and preparing days ahead. We shared the National Weather Service forecast updates daily, several days ahead with all of our public safety agencies, preparing for the impending weather. We set a virtual EOC, Emergency Operations Center, that started at noon on Tuesday, well ahead of the impact of the weather. and carried that through to today, and we've extended it through into tomorrow, and quite frankly, might extend it into the weekend. That is for the purposes of situational awareness and coordination, not only with all of our county agencies, but our municipal agencies, city partners, private sector, utility companies, and other county departments to assist during this time of need. As it related to our 911 operations and our impacts, just to give you some examples of what our 911 folks and systems saw, 5,600 calls to 911 were received between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. yesterday. 5,600. This is 5 times greater than the same hour without a storm. 9,300 calls were received for the entire day, which is over 2 times greater than what we would see during a normal day without a storm. Almost every municipality received some form of damage from the storm. Hardest hit areas include, but not limited to, the city of Pittsburgh, Moon Township, Mount Lebanon, Penn Hills, Forest Hills, Ross Township, Hampton, Shaler. But almost 130, all the 130 municipalities have received some type of damages or impacts, i.e. they've lost power or have other utility concerns. Travel is certainly a sticking point with all of the detours and restrictions that exist in many of the areas countywide. Some not known impacts that you may not be familiar with, things like the Emsworth Lock and Dam on the Ohio River. Again, I've had communications with those folks working on the river, seeing the emails from the U.S. Army Corps, and they had to go into manual operations just to keep the Emsworth Lock and Dam operating properly. During the events yesterday, as I was listening to radio traffic, again, another potential, there was a report of the possibility of a derailed train. Believe that, right in the middle of all this. Luckily for us, that was confirmed not to be true, but we did have a train impact a tree, and it was thought to possibly be derailed. So again, there were a lot of things that maybe not necessarily seen to the public. So far, Forest Hills, Wilkins Township, and Churchill boroughs have declared a disaster for their communities. Harrison Township, Robinson Township, and Swissville Borough are pending to do the same. What does this mean, or what does it do? It's different for each of them. Historically, that declaration may free up some of the reins that they have from a procurement process. For us at the county level, if we would choose to have a declaration, it's focused on that, but also the fact that it helps to get the message out that we are dealing with a crisis. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're panicked or that we're worried or we're concerned, but we want everybody's attention, and that includes the public, that we are dealing with a crisis and we need everybody's help in dealing with that. As the county executive had mentioned, the ME's office confirms 2 storm-related deaths at this point. Our 911 systems operated as designed, not only yesterday, but continue to today. The building that we're meeting in today, we have been on generators since 5 o'clock yesterday. Again, we designed our facilities for this with uninterrupted power supplies, backup generator capacity, and we were maintaining those systems. Was 911 bogged down at times? Absolutely, absolutely, given the numbers that I just gave you, but we were never down. Our systems operated. Phone systems were overloaded here in region-wide, as confirmed by the numbers that I just shared. One of the best examples I can give you is if you look at the major carriers of the phone systems, the Verizons, the AT&Ts, the T-Mobiles, if they only have a certain size pipe to move that data or that voice through, and it only accepts 500, but you jam 5,000 in it at a time, guess what? Those systems fail or pause even before it gets to us at 911. You had a lot of that going on region-wide here yesterday. But our fantastic people worked through those challenges, working with our regional partners and our PEMA partners. We found other ways to be able to transfer that information and data and process those 911 calls. Did we have delays? Absolutely, but our systems operated and they functioned, and our people is what really makes that work every day. They did fantastic work overnight. Reminders about 911. Sustaining, I apologize, EMA current operations. Right now, we're focused on sustaining 911 emergency services operations, our generators, phones, systems, radios, our tower sites. We maintain 37 tower sites, the greater majority of which have been running on generator all night. And we're maintaining those so that we can keep our public safety radio systems working. We're assisting the National Weather Service Pittsburgh at their request on weather damages. Some of our emergency management folks were out with them earlier this morning, assisting with drones to help confirm what weather impacted we have. Was it tornadoes? Was it straight line winds? And again, all that information and data is being evaluated by our partners at National Weather Service Pittsburgh now. Also assisting local emergency management coordinators with damage assessments and their unmet needs. Our priorities are assisting in priority electric restorations, working with our partners at Duquesne Light and First Energy. Some examples of the criticalities: hospitals, other critical infrastructure and utilities. Working with our local emergency management coordinators regarding shelter plans to support phone charging and or possibly the need for supporting oxygen generators where power may exist in these shelters. One of our biggest concerns moving forward is those on home oxygen. We heard lots of calls of that overnight into today. So one of the points that we would like to highlight for those who are relying on that, first of all, if you have a family member that you know is relying on that, please, I hope you're checking on them. Consider, do they have friends or family that maybe they can go to that has power, that they can use their oxygen generator. There may be plans or already existing some municipal shelters that may be able to support that charging capability or that charging and regeneration of that oxygen supply. And we're working with our Duquesne Light partners, talking with those oxygen suppliers to see if they need utility support so that they can continue to support the region. Some safety messages, including some 911 tips. Just as the executive had mentioned, stay off area roads if not necessary. Traffic lights out means it's a stop sign at each point. Assume any down wires or energized wires and stay clear of them. Check on neighbors and loved ones. I mentioned the oxygen concern. Maybe a neighbor or a loved one that just needs to be able to use your plug to charge a phone. Generator use must be outside. Safety of the fuel and the electricity use with generators is of concern. Make sure that you're operating those properly. On the 911 side, another concern of ours is impact to the cellular carriers at this point. Many cellular carriers are impacted. We share a lot of the same radio tower sites with them. They have generators, they have uninterrupted battery supplies, and all of those are being strained right now as well. We've seen many communications with a lot of the major carriers about potential impacts that they already have or that they foresee in the near future. VoIP, if you've not heard of that before, voice over IP, is probably the greater majority of people's home phones nowadays. We're already seeing some outages with some of the carriers related to those VoIP systems. In the event you have difficulty calling 911, there is a 10-digit number option for you that I want to give to you here at Allegheny County 911, which is 412-473-3370. But 911 is always still an option. I'm just listing that number in the event that you have difficulty getting through to 911. You can also check with your local agencies for emergency communications should communication problems continue to get worse in your area. And again, some highlights on 911, and this speaks to a lot of the volume that we saw yesterday. When calling 911, you might receive a message that operators are busy. Do not hang up, stay on the line. Try to limit your call to true emergencies. Example, a tree down in the backyard with one injured can wait until after the storm passes. Do not call 911 to ask when the power is coming on. We got a lot of that overnight. I was here very late and we were being overwhelmed by that. Or to report that your power is out, unless there is a related emergency to not having power. There's lots to do here. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We've got a lot of challenges, but we've got great partners that we're working with in our EOC. Our EMA folks are working with all those local EMCs on further messaging and preparedness to sustain. Our EFC operations will continue with our local, regional, state, private sector partners, as well as our volunteer agency partners to continue to evaluate conditions, assess damages, and recover at every level. This is a natural disaster, folks, to the level that we don't see very regularly. We must work together to recover and to be resilient for the next time. And oh, by the way, the next time could be as early as tomorrow based on the National Weather Service weather forecast. We don't see it nearly as impactful, but plan, prepare, and prevent. It's something we preach every day. This is a good opportunity to make sure your storm drains and downspouts are clear, that you've got debris secured, as the county executive mentioned, making sure your phones are charged and available, and that you've got a go kit in the event that you have to leave. Again, be weather wise, pay attention to weather tomorrow. With that, I will turn it over to John from Duquesne Lake.
Good afternoon. Thank you, County Executive Innamorato and County Emergency Services Chief Brown. We appreciate your partnership and support throughout this significant event. As you can imagine, we are still assessing the full impact of the storm that occurred last night, but it's clear that this is an unprecedented event in the history of Duquesne Light. We've experienced more than 250,000 of our customers out of service as of yesterday, and that represents about 40% of our customers. We've currently restored more than 40,000 of those customers. Personally, for me, I've had 40 great years in the wires business and the electric utility business, and for me, this is in the top 3 of events that I've been involved in. For context, it's important to realize that that's complementary to Chief Brown's comments. Also, similar to what Chief Brown reported out, we received reports of over 22,000 hazards immediately following the storm. That includes wires down, poles broken, trees, facilities damaged, etc. I can't be emphasized enough, although you've heard it twice before me already, you have to assume that wires down are energized and you cannot approach them in any way, and allow the experts from Duquesne Light in collaboration with emergency services to make those scenes safe as those are brought to our attention. I also want to share that, as you know, the grid, this grid that we have, has different layers to it. There's a transmission system layer and a distribution system layer that serves our neighborhoods. We have had impacts on our transmission system. 4 of our 138 kV lines are currently out of service. One of those lines are impacting customers, and we have determined what the cause of that is and are affecting repairs as we speak. I want to share that we're doing all that we can to assess this damage, and I expect it won't be fully assessed until tomorrow at some point. Once we have a better assessment, we'll begin publishing estimated times of restorations, or ETRs, at the county and municipal level, and then ultimately, as we work through this event, at the individual outage level. With this kind of event, we are currently estimating a 5 to 7 day restoration time period, notwithstanding the weather event that Chief Brown just mentioned. If we experience significant weather, that will cause additional outages, and that could impact that 5 to 7 day estimated restoration time period. I want to thank all the emergency responders, and I want to especially give a shout out to Duquesne Light team members, line workers, troubleshooters, folks in the operations center, folks in the contact center, everyone that's rallied to support our customers in their greatest time of need. Many of our team members are without power, and yet they're out restoring those critical services to those safety-sensitive customers that Chief Brown spoke about. I want to share that we have resourced additional external contractors. As of this morning, we, at 6 a.m., deployed 70 additional contractors to support the restoration effort. Between noon and 2 as we speak, another approximate 200 resources will be arriving and onboarding and put to work this afternoon. And later this evening into tomorrow morning, we're expecting at least another 160 resources to complement our Duquesne Light team as we work to restore our customers. We know power outages have an enormous impact on everyone. We just heard it described. Many of us are experiencing it. What we're committed to is safely restoring power to all our customers as quickly as we can. But I can't emphasize enough that if we don't do it safely, we failed. So we are taking safety seriously for our employees, for those resources coming in to help us, and for the public. So please be patient with us, because as we damage assess and as we make scenes safe, often we come into a neighborhood to clear a down wire, and we leave to clear the next down wire. We do not restore service. That will soon follow in the coming days. That is a normal practice in the utility business. Again, we appreciate your patience as we navigate this unprecedented event and focus on getting the lights back on safely and efficiently. Thank you. Next, we have Director Shanley.
Thank you, John. And I'd like to thank the county executive for her continued support so our crews can get out there expeditiously to address these emergency situations. Also, Chief Brown always keeps us informed of these upcoming storms that come through our area throughout the year, and this one was no different. So our crews were ready to react to anything that came our way. 5:30 yesterday, our crews were acted to down trees throughout the area, and they worked to past midnight to clear the trees from our roadways that were downed, and without the ones with the electrical lines. So we're working with Duquesne Light on those lines, but I'd like to thank our crews for the great work they do, clear these roads and do what it takes to get the roads open for the traveling public. We have more than 60 trees down between Public Works and Parks, and our crews did a great job. Of those 29 roads that were closed, we have 20 of them that are opened at this time, and now we have currently 9 closed because there's down wires on these roads and entangled in the trees. We're working with Duquesne Light to get these roads open as quickly as possible, but there is a safety concern with the lines on the roadways. I'll read off the roads here: Blackburn Road in Swickley Heights, Brownsville Road in South Park, Churchill Road in Churchill, Cliff Mine Road in Findlay, Lorish Road in Kennedy, Middle Road in Hampton, Sesqui Drive in South Park, Spring Run Road in Crescent, and West Run Road in Munhall. So we encourage people not to go around these power lines. As been told by everybody here, they're very dangerous, and we want everybody to be safe. We do have some numbers you can contact if you have a problem on figuring out who owns the road. There's a lot of confusion on that sometimes. You go to AlleghenyCounty.us/who plows by road, and that'll take you to the website and a number to contact if there's any confusion on what road ownership and who you got to call to maintain that road. We're now going to take questions. Are there any questions?
Question for Chief Brown.
Yes.
Hi, Chief Brown. Wanted to see, are you confident in the way that the phone systems operated? We had a lot of complaints from people that things were so overwhelmed and so jammed, even first responders weren't able to communicate with one another. Are you pleased with how the phones operated? Is there room for improvement?
There's always room for improvement. I probably didn't overemphasize. Our systems worked and functioned. I would stress that most 911 centers, if not all 911 centers across the country, probably couldn't manage the load that we saw yesterday. It does happen from time to time. The most recent similar event that we saw that same condition with was the fire on the Liberty Bridge. Prior to yesterday, that was our highest single call volume in an hour and a day, and it was the same issue then. When you think about how those phones, whether it's cellular or hardwired, how they connect back to those systems and back to our 911 center, there are a lot of hands in that pot, and they're not all mine to be responsible for. Those systems can be overwhelmed, they can be clogged and bogged down. We did have to make a lot of alternative actions within the room because of the way the calls were being parsed, not only to us but to the region. We weren't the only ones impacted. We took calls for other counties as well. That's part of the statewide 911 next generation phone system. For instance, we took a call, I think, as far away as 84 PA. But again, within our 911 public safety answering point system statewide, there are systems and we have capabilities to be able to work together to transition through those difficulties, which we did very well all through yesterday. So again, high activity, lots of volume, delays, absolutely, but our systems did function. We did not go down, and that's, again, 100% credit to the fantastic people on the other side of this wall that make that work every day.
How long are you anticipating to be operating with the backup generators here?
I'm hoping for good news from Duquesne Light, just like everybody else is. But I will tell you with confidence, plan and prepare. We are in the business to not fail. We designed this facility for just the situation we're in. We have uninterrupted power supplies as well as diesel generation, and we can run as long as I can provide diesel fuel. We are going to be here to do the business for the citizens of Allegheny County.
Thank you.
Was the city's 911 system down? Because they had posted on social media that it was. When I asked this morning, they said to talk to the county about that. So were there outages for the city?
I don't know exactly what they were speaking specifically to because there isn't a city 911 that I'm aware of. It's an Allegheny County 911 system. There's possibilities that there are applications that reside or connect to our 911 systems. Like for instance, mobile data terminals that are out there in the field. You might see them in a police car, fire truck, or an ambulance. The connectivity to that could have been a problem yesterday. I'm sure it was because I could see that from time to time. Those are carrier-related issues, whether it's Verizon or it's Comcast or some other application that makes that connectivity to it. Did we have difficulties and challenges with our system? Absolutely we did, but they did not go down. And they were bogged at times, but they did not go down. Again, there's a lot of hands in the pot there, a lot of connectivity, a lot of networks and pieces that go to that, and there's lots of points of failure way past the 911 system.
Any other questions?
Are you going to declare an emergency for Allegheny County? Could you elaborate more on what the governor and you discussed this morning?
Sure. So I will begin with the second part. So the governor just called to say that he has our back here in Allegheny County. He has my administration's back. And, we discussed, what the needs were here explicitly. I told him that, we still have a number of critical facilities that are without power. That is handled by the utility companies by way of the PUC. So, we are just waiting for our electric service providers like Duquesne Light, who's here presently, to be able to have the capacity to get electricity back online for not only those critical pieces of infrastructure, but for residents throughout the county and the region. And as far as a disaster declaration, I'm going to rely on our emergency service professionals and their expertise, like Chief Matt Brown, to determine if and when the county will declare a disaster emergency. So we continue to receive new information. We are monitoring the weather very closely and the storm that's coming in tomorrow. So there's a number of factors that go into that declaration. So we are staying in contact and we'll make a decision when appropriate.
Anyone else? All right, thank you for coming. Oh, sorry.
Down all over this region. If I might, a lot because we're streaming right now, when is it your responsibility to take care of that tree, and when is it? I don't know if that's for emergency services or what, but how does a homeowner know whether they need to get someone to take care of their tree, or you will take care of the tree, or the city, or whatever the case is? Is that something you can talk about?
Go ahead. Yeah, again, you gave some of the complexity there, where the tree's located and who owns the tree. But I would prioritize even ahead of that, what is the impact that it's causing? If there's danger to a person related to that down tree, if it's a critical access route, maybe to a hospital, or maybe it's the only road in and out. Again, I think Director Shanley would agree on the county public works side, and we work functionally with all of our municipal emergency managers and public safety agencies to set those priorities related to those conditions. And the priority can change, and at that point, it doesn't matter who takes care of it. It's a matter of making sure we're preserving life and doing what's best to preserve the safety of that area. Aside from that, if it's not life concern, their private property owners are responsible for the trees that fall. I think regardless of where that tree falls, if they own that tree, they're responsible for that. But again, local municipalities, certainly the county, in these extreme conditions, we're going to work together to come up with a solution, certainly as it impacts everybody, to make the best ability to recover from that.
Two things quick. Beyond the two fatalities, were there any injuries?
I don't have specific numbers. I'm confident there were. I do believe I recalled a firefighter that suffered a chainsaw injury. I don't know the severity of that, but I do recall seeing that. And I'm sure there were others to report. There was a lot of activity. Literally thousands, if not tens of thousands of public safety folks that were out working all through the night. That we were, our 911 center was coordinating with, literally going call to call to call for many, many hours, and are continuing to do that today. So there are a lot of dangerous conditions out there. There's nothing that I can highlight specifically related to any known injuries related.
That firefighter with chainsaw injury, you know where that was?
I apologize, I don't. I just happened to recall seeing a mention of a firefighter suffering an injury.
For the gentleman from Duke and Light, would help you get your name and also the additional resources that are coming in, see where they're coming from.
Sure. Yes, thank you. My name is John Hilferbrand II, JOHNHILDERBRAND, Roman numeral 2. I am Vice President of Operations at Duquesne Light. The resources, the 70 resources, I would call them native contractors, so they were in Duquesne Light's footprint. Those are the resources that were deployed at 6 this morning. The resources that are arriving as we speak, the approximate 200, are coming from Ohio, and the remainder of the resources are coming from, as I recall, eastern Pennsylvania.
And John, the hardest hit areas that Chief Brown mentioned, is that what Duquesne Light is seeing too in terms of damage?
Yes, I would say there's great similarities between what Chief Brown described and what we're experiencing, yes.
All right, I think we'll let everybody, county executive, did you have anything else you wanted to
Nope,
add?
I'm just gonna conclude the press conference and again, thank our first responders and our county employees who have been working around the clock to make sure that people are safe and get the access to resources that they need in this moment.